Let me tell you about the day a luxury car dealership in Beverly Hills got flipped upside down and how it happened so fast, so brutally, and so perfectly that you almost wanted to feel sorry for the people who brought it on themselves. Almost. You ever see something so outrageous, so on the nose, that you think it has to be a setup? That's how this started. Picture a marble showroom, sun streaming through those spotless glass doors, the kind of place where the cheapest car costs more than your average family home in and walks a black woman in scuffed sneakers and faded jeans. The manager, Brad Wilson, lost it so hard, his voice actually bounced off those fancy walls. "Get out now. You're not welcome here." Security. Yeah, that happened. See, what nobody in that dealership knew was that this random woman was Zora Thompson, a name they should have recognized if they cared about anything but themselves. Zora didn't scream, didn't argue, just stood there, radiating this cold, contained fury. "You have no idea what you just did," she said, and it wasn't a threat, it was a promise. The whole room tensed. The salespeople froze, customers stared, and Bradwell, his face turned a shade of red I didn't even know was possible. He just picked the worst day in his career to try and flex. Let me back up. SEC Zora Thompson, 42, had built an automotive empire from the ground up. We're not talking one or two dealerships, we're talking a dozen. And the one she just acquired was Prestige Motors in Beverly Hills, the crown jewel. Rumors have been circling, customers whispering about being treated badly if they didn't look the part. No public complaints, but you know how word gets around when something's off. Zora needed to know for herself if her newest investment was rotten to the core. So she did what any true boss would dosh when undercover. Gone were the designer suits and luxury rights on this day. Zora rolled up in a 9-year-old Honda Civic, wearing clothes that said regular person as loudly as they possibly could. If there was ever a test of character, this was it, because everyone knows, in those marble halls, appearance is everything. She stepped inside, and instantly, it was like she didn't exist. 3 salespeople, each one laser-focused on important customers, glided right past her. Not a glance, not a word. Zora stood there for minutes, invisible, until she finally approached the receptionist, Jessica, who looked like she belonged on a magazine cover and sounded like ice cubes clinking in a crystal glass. Jessica didn't say hello. She didn't even ask if Zora needed help. All she saw was a black woman in jeans and sneakers, so she assumed she was there for a job, not a car. "If you're here about a job, applications are online," she said, her voice so cold it could have iced the champagne in the back office. Zora could have blown her cover right then, but she just smiled and said she was interested in buying a car. Jessica didn't miss a beat. "Honey, our cheapest car is $40,000. Maybe try the used lot down the street. You know what I mean?" Just dripping with condescension. Enter Brad Wilson, a manager, 38, walking arrogance in a $2,000 suit. He glided over, fake smile locked and loaded, and said, "Ma'am, I think there's been a misunderstanding." He didn't offer to help. He didn't ask what she was looking for. He just made it clear Zora was not the customer he wanted. But Zora, she held her ground, asked to see the luxury sedans. Brad's face said it all. Serious buyers only, with pre-approved financing. She hadn't even asked for a test drive, just wanted to look, and already the walls were up. Here's the twist: while all this was happening, other customers walked in and got the red carpet. One guy, white, suit crisp, shoes shining, barely had to say a word before a salesperson fetched keys, coffee, and compliments. No proof of income. No questions. No security guard looming like a shadow. Zora, meanwhile, was treated like a threat. At one point, Brad demanded 3 forms of ID and recent bank statements before she could even look inside a BMW sedan. Then he called over Tom, the security guard, just in case. But that wasn't even the worst part. Zora stood by as the same routine unfolded for another black, customary young woman named Jennifer. Business suit, sharp heels, dreams in her eyes. The same cold shoulder, the same humiliations. Zora watched from the parking lot, rage boiling, knowing this wasn't about her. This was policy. And that's when she pressed record on her phone and sent a text to her assistant. "It's worse than we thought. Initiate Protocol 7. What's Protocol 7? That's the nuclear option in Zora's company the moment you call in the legal team, the HR heavyweights, and the regional managers, all at once. She wasn't just going to clean house, she was going to bulldoze the place and rebuild it from the ground up. Minutes later, after a flurry of calls, Zora left. But she wasn't running. She was regrouping. Half an hour later, Zora came back, but this time not as a nobody. She walked through those doors in a business suit that practically glowed, her head held high, confidence radiating off her like sunlight. The same staff looked up, confused, nervous. Brad, still smug, tried to brush her off. "Look, lady, I thought we settled this. You can't just keep coming back." That's when she dropped the bomb. "Tell your district manager Zora is here." Robert Shun, the district manager, showed up fast, his face pale, sweat on his brow, the kind of panic you only see when someone realizes they've been caught sleeping at the wheel. The second he saw Zora, his whole attitude shifted. "Miss Thompson," he stammered. Jessica, the receptionist, just stared. The sales staff went silent. Tom, the security guard, seemed to shrink by the second. And Brad? He still didn't get it until Zora reached into her jacket and slid her business card across the marble counter, the sound echoing in that dead silent room. "I'm Zora Thompson. So, I own this dealership. I own all 12 locations in the state." The silence that followed was pure cinematic gold. You could see careers flashing before people's eyes, panic spreading like wildfire. Jessica realized she'd been rude to the woman who signed her paychecks. Brad tried to save himself, stammering, "Ma'am, if I had known," and Zora just cut him off. "That's exactly the problem. Your respect shouldn't depend on knowing who I am." You want to talk about a power move? That was it. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Brad Wilson gone, fired on the spot. Jessica gone. Tom, the security guard, gone, and probably facing more trouble with the state board. Zora didn't stop there. She announced a company-wide overhaul, real diversity training, new hiring practices, and protocols to make sure every customer got treated with respect no matter what they looked like or what car they drove up in. She even went to Jennifer and personally apologized, offering her the BMW she wanted at a deep discounted genuine gesture, not just corporate PR. But Zora didn't end the day gloating. She addressed everyone, employees and customers, and said, "Judge people by their character, not their appearance." Those words didn't just echo off marble, they stuck in people's heads. That's the lesson, right? Because Brad Wilson's downfall wasn't just about bad customer service. It was about character, about how you treat people when you think nobody's watching. And the kicker? Someone's always watching. And sometimes that someone is exactly the person who can change your life and your career with a single word. Now, I got a skiff you've been in Zora's shoes. What would you have done? Where do you draw the line between justice and revenge, between cleaning house and building something better? Drop your thoughts below, because trust me, this is a conversation every community, every business, every person needs to have.